So you hide everything that you must share with the international community, because you in Sweden, you tried to blame Russia. When the Nord Stream explosions happened, when the Western and Central Europe repeated the term that they were imposed, sabotage, without understanding the meaning of this term. So we're talking about explosions, blasts, and so on and so forth. So they disrupted the civil infrastructure that is critical for the European continent, for the EU, for their consumers, for their civilians. So in the first years, Western journalists, in the search of a Russian footprint, the Kremlin footprint as they call it, resorted to the using data from a commercial ship tracking service showing the location of vessels. So can you imagine what would have happened if the presence of Russian ships on the scene had been detected? So I can imagine that. I believe that even childish cartoons, even ads, and so on and so forth, would include this provocative information on the detection of Russian vessels in the area of blast, in the area where these explosions were detected, in the area where these gas pipelines were sabotaged. The best proof that Russia is guilty, according to them, would be the detection of vessels' movement. So they could take the Russian vessel, find it, and create some scary stories, and that is all. And that is all. They could draw the line and provide their evidence. So I believe that Western journalists would cover this topic. But the problem, and please I would like to draw your attention, the problem is that Swedish journalists discovered that on the 22nd, 25th of September, in the blast area, there were some movements of vessels, but these vessels were not Russians, they were Swedish naval vessels. The Swedish Navy confirmed the information on the presence of its ships in the area and that they carried out maritime surveillance, but it wouldn't comment on the target. And do you know why? Why they did so? They said that this information is strictly confidential. So how is it possible? It was an explosion happened in the exclusive economic zone. Even NATO countries gathered together claiming that they should provide some security, and you in Stockholm still cannot say what had happened there, what your vessels did there in that area, because this information is confidential. Are you serious? So if you think that is all, you're wrong. Then the Swedish tabloid Expressen, which by the way has at its disposal some classified information from intelligence services, so this tabloid published a report following a visit to one of the areas of Sweden exclusive economic zone when explosions had been detected. The journalists, together with experts from the robotics company, Blair Robotics, allegedly went out to the sea with their own forces and used a deep-sea drone to take pictures and videos of the destroyed section of the Nord Stream 1 gas pipeline. So the report shows that the area is currently controlled by Swedish and neighboring Danish authorities. So sometimes there are aircraft of Swedish Coastal Guard flying over the Baltic Sea, or Swedish fighters are flying over there, or a Danish warship can be seen on the horizon. So no one can escape this control. You may say that it's a freedom of media, but still the fact is that journalists were allowed to go there 1 month after this explosion had happened, after the work of the intensive Swedish law enforcement agencies. And by the way, the Swedish authorities seriously exceeding their power over the exclusion economic zone, which breaches the UN Convention on the Law of the Sea, closed off access to the blast area for more than a week, citing the need to conduct a preliminary investigation of the crime scene and of site, and a special ban was imposed on diving and the use of underwater vehicles. Currently, all restrictions on access to the area have been lifted by Swedish law enforcement and intelligence agencies, have classified the inspection materials, confiscated some physical evidence, and are not ready to share the results of the investigation even with the EU partners, let alone Russia. So I do not recognize the Swedish authorities because traditionally they are the first one who shares the information, the outcomes of the investigation. And I remember the statement made by the foreign minister of Sweden, who were the first person to knew what had happened there in the Baltic Sea, and who was the first to blame Russia. And what is going on with the foreign ministry of Sweden? Why they are not sharing these materials with those who assess these pipelines? So what did you find that you do not want to show to the whole world? Is it because of NATO influence? So did you find something that you do not want to uncover? So I believe that you have something to hide. So something that you found there shouldn't be shown or given to the whole world. So it means that the collective West is behind this blast because it was NATO warships, vessels of NATO allies that were present there just on the eve of these events. We found some NATO ammunition back in 2015 that could carry out the same blast. So you hide everything that you must share with the international community because you in Sweden, you tried to blame Russia.
Thanks for watching. If you like our info, subscribe to channel and watch the next video.